we want to create an Africa where indigenous knowledge thrives through scientific validation. A plant that is commonly consumed as food, which is known as mushiji. In Latin, it's called Bidens pilosa. In English, it's called blackjack. Within African traditional medicine, there are some who believe this plant can be used as a contraceptive. So I think as a continent, we're still far behind. We are consumers. We are not developers. We should be developing AI-driven stuff here, but we are not. University of Venda will become a home of everyone across Africa from the entire globe who wants to do mass spectrometry. You will see them coming to this institution. Yeah.
Good day and welcome to another episode of Pfunzo. My name is Mwabo Makaga and welcome to a platform where we explore remarkable people, pioneering research and also transformative ideas that are shaping the University of Venda and contributing to the overall society. Today, we are joined by Professor Ntakadzeni Edwin Madala, who is one of South Africa's leading scientists in analytical biochemistry and metabolytics. He is an associate professor of biochemistry right here at the University of Venda. He is the founder and director of the Center of Excellence in Mass Spectrometry for Southern Africa. Prof. Madala, good day and welcome to Pfunzo.
Good afternoon.
Thank you so much for coming and thank you so much for your time. You know, when guests come here, we firstly like to, talk about you, the person. If we were to say we are talking about Professor Madala, not the scientist, but the human being, how would you explain yourself?
It's very difficult to separate me from science, but I will try to give you a glimpse of my life. I am a village boy who grew up around here, the University of Venda, which is the village called Chisauru. I was born there, I was educated there in primary school, high school there, and then later on I moved out and came to University of Venda where I did my BSc. And then later on, I went to do my postgraduate studies at the University of Johannesburg. But just like you ask, what type of person I am, I think I hear people say I'm very funny. And I like to joke with people. I like to make people feel free. And then I'm a believer. I'm a Christian person. Also having a touch of African traditions. I don't forget my roots, and I'm just a fun guy to have around.
The fun scientist. That's my first time coming across scientists who describe themselves as fun. You talked about the fact that you're a rural boy. What kind of experiences, if maybe you were to pinpoint it, what kind of experiences would you say have shaped you to be the scientist that you are today, the mentor that you've become to some people?
So this is a very good question because this last few weeks, I've been looking at various things, the lives that we find in villages, and most importantly, the talent that fell aside, not nurtured properly. In the villages, that's where you find natural intelligence. And I think I was inspired by most of my teachers whom I believe, if it wasn't of circumstances, they would have gone far ahead with life, becoming some of the biggest scholars or scientists, but circumstances prevented them to achieve those goals. So that shaped me in such a way that whenever an opportunity presents itself to me, I've always taken it in order to become better and better than them, because I know they could have gone far, but situation prevailed and then prevented them to become what I perceive could be great. Yeah.
You know, when we talk about future careers for most kids, especially in rural areas, and you ask them, what is your dream? You're usually going to hear a doctor, a lawyer, or a teacher even. Would you say young Edwin or young Ntakadzeni ever imagined that one day he would become one of Africa's leading scientists? Or would you say that, the path just, revealed itself as time went on?
I think the path revealed itself because, unfortunately, growing in a village, you don't have mentorship. like I said in my previous answer, I had to craft my own way, looking at what is happening around me. So in that way, some of the things, especially what I'm finding myself where I am right now, I don't think it's something that I've planned. It's something that just happened. And yeah, so I'm finding myself here by chance, not by planning.
Yeah. So let's talk about, scientists. The last time I had a conversation with a scientist, he said that, there are usually questions that, or rather the curiosity that drives them to continue going. Looking back for you, what would you say has been the defining scientific question that has driven your entire research journey ever since you started and to the point where you are today?
So, as I've mentioned, I'm a religious person who believes in creation. But at the same time, science teaches me about evolution. And that to me has always been something that I've always tried or always wanted to know which of the two is the truth.
Yeah.
So that continues to propel me to do more scientific studies in order to discover and try to answer that persisting question, because everybody wants to know, is it God that created everything? Is it evolution that created us? So yeah, so that is something that is fundamental to me in order to do whatever I do every day in trying to figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah. People often celebrate scientific discoveries, but rarely we hear about the setbacks that actually were before the discoveries were made. Can you share a moment maybe of failure? Maybe before you became the great teacher that you are today, and this can be a failure that ultimately you feel that it has shaped you to be the researcher that you are today.
That is something very personal, and I would like to share with you that when I was doing my grade 12, just like any other person who wanted to be a scientist, you have to choose physical science and mathematics as subjects or major subjects. You can't believe it that I didn't pass physical science in grade 12.
Oh.
So I had to bridge, you call it foundation these days. I have to go through a bridging course in order to better my physical science marks, in order to get into the mainstream BSc in science. So that stands out to be something very unique. Whenever people see me today as a professor in science, they think it was a normal trajectory for me coming from high school to the university and becoming the scientist that I am. But unfortunately, I had to go through a failure for me to recognize the excellence in me. Thank you.
Looking back, what would you say your journey has taught you about potential, perseverance, and also the danger of allowing one setback to define your future?
Indeed. That, to me, I never saw it as a setback, because at the time when I was doing my grade 12, for instance, passing science was a milestone. So, and I've seen people who have gone through the same path where they failed science, but they've gone to become something in life. So it never scared me that that was the end of my life or career or anything. I just needed to find alternative ways to overcome the setback, which of course University of Venda at the time provided me with an opportunity, which of course I utilize it to the fullest, and this is where I am. So every time I encounter a failure in life, even in my work, I always look at it as an opportunity to learn more. So in science, let me give you an example. When we have success, we publish our success through what is called research articles. And research articles go through peer review. So peer review is where some of your peers all over the world looks at your work and validate it or give it authenticity to say, is it good enough to be published or not? So I would tell you that some of the peer review responses that we get are very demeaning, where people go into your work and destroy it. But I've taught my students that through those analysis of others, of your own work, that's where you learn more about yourself. Because in the future, you tend to try to avoid whatever that you have been criticized in the previous publication, so that it doesn't carry on as a tradition for you. And that builds you as a better scientist.
So When we talk about scientists, we can say that your work explores things that we can say are invisible to the naked eye. For someone with no scientific background that might be watching the episode today, how would you explain what mass spectrometry is, and why would you say that it is important to understand hidden chemistry of life?
Mass spectrometry is one of the most sophisticated analytical technique which measures the mass of molecules. This mass of molecules gives identity to these chemicals. So chemicals are found everywhere, and there are many of them.
Yeah.
They do different things. For instance, as a human being, you are consisting of multiple chemicals. Some of them, we know them as DNA, proteins, amino acids, vitamins, and all that. In order for you to differentiate which one is which, you need analytical instruments that could pick up certain signals. From the signals, you can build the identity of that particular molecule or chemical. So what mass spectrometer does, it measures the mass, because each and every chemical has different masses, even though in certain cases you find molecules having the same mass. From that particular mass, you can then infer the identity. However, as I've already mentioned, some molecules will have the same mass, so we do what is called fragmentation. And this fragmentation breaks this molecule into small pieces. And using mathematical modeling and statistics, and these days with artificial intelligence, you can puzzle back those pieces to build up the molecule. And through the process of building back the molecule, you are able to tell what was the composition of the original molecule, and build on from the mass, you can then tell what molecule it is.
Why would you say it's important for me, as someone with no scientific background, to understand the hidden chemistry of life, as you just explained it now?
So I will start it here. When we talk about mass spectrometry being useful to decode the hidden chemistry of life, it is important to understand that as we are right here, we are functioning because physiological, everything is where it's supposed to be. Let's say in the case where someone gets sick, and then the chemicals are misplaced and they become somehow, they're not supposed, they start behaving in a way that they're not supposed to behave.
Yeah.
That's when you say you are sick, or you are infected, or something has gotten into your body. Then what then happens is that we can use mass spectrometry to look into what has gone wrong for you to feel sick. For instance, I give you an example. If someone could pour a poison in the water, a colorless poison, that is a hidden weapon or toxin that is inside the water. So mass spectrometry will look into the water and see any other chemical inside the water that is not supposed to be in the water.
Yeah.
In so doing, we can then tell that this water is contaminated with compound A or B. Similarly, in your body, if something gets into your body and kill you, we are able to take any form of biofluid from your body when we do forensic investigation, and we are able to tell you that this chemical was not supposed to be in your liver or pancreas or whatever, blood, urine, anywhere. In so doing, we are then able to say this chemical could have been the responsibility, or could bear the responsibility of having to kill you. So this is important information that we get from mass spectrometry. Moreover, these days, people are suffering from diseases such as cancer. These cancers disturbs the physiological functioning of a human body. Mass spectrometry can be used to look into those disturbances by measuring and identifying chemicals that will be in your body that are not supposed to be there at that particular time. The last example is in the environment. Environment that are, say for instance, water that is contaminated with bacteria like cholera and other related devastating pathogens. Yeah. Those pathogens, while they're in water, they release chemicals. Using mass spectrometry, we can measure those chemicals and infer the presence of this pathogen, and then we can alert communities not to use that water because it's danger for them.
Yeah. So the University of Venda is now home to the Center of Excellence in Mass Spectrometry for Southern Africa. You are the founder and also the director of SEMSA. Take us to the beginning. What is it that inspired the vision behind SEMSA? And what are the strategic pillars of SEMSA, or what is the gap that you are trying to fill by saying, we need a center like this one existing within the institution?
So the SAMSA, it is indeed a new brand or a research entity at the University of Venda, which was established in 2025 November by the then Vice Chancellor of the University of Venda. And then that center was established because of the success that we had as a laboratory where we are doing research in plant sciences and other related fields using mass spectrometry. So when I arrived at University of Venda in 2018, University of Venda didn't have a functional mass spectrometer. In 2019, I convinced the then acting VC, Professor Jan Crawford, to invest in mass spectrometer because I came here with a wealth of knowledge, with a well-built CV on mass spectrometry, and then he agreed and bought us a mass spectrometer. And that mass spectrometer resulted in us publishing many publications, supervising students who have gone to become ambassadors of Univen elsewhere in other institutions. And that whole success gave an impression to the management of the university that this should rather be transformed or be made to become a center of excellence so that it can give a University of Venda a new sort of a brand, because University of Venda elsewhere is seen as a teaching university. But by doing sophisticated and advanced research such as that we do in mass spectrometry has given a new taste to the University of Venda. And the university saw it fitting that we must now become a center of excellence. And then that's where we are right now. And we are trying to operationalize this center so that we become the best in the country and even in the continent, as the name says it all. But at this moment in time, I must say that the success that we had here at University of Venda has actually created or made the University of Venda to be one of the university that is producing a lot of papers in mass spectrometry. So we are counted amongst the top 3 best mass spectrometry producing universities in South Africa.
Yeah, that's very good. You're mentioning that the establishment of the center was November 2025. Let's talk about current projects, that you're doing in the center, and also, some of the innovation initiatives that, you've started to venture into ever since you guys started working.
So the center is engaged in multiple projects. So these multiple projects, they come into 2 forms, the internal projects and collaborative projects. Let me start with the internal project. In the internal project, me as a leading scholar, we are working on plant sciences. So what we are working on is something very unique. I believe we are the only people in the world who's working on that. As you may know, there's a buzzword out there called climate change, where we are seeing extreme weather patterns. One of the extreme weather patterns that is synonymous with this region of Bembe is excessive sunlight. We are now in the winter season. It's not as much, but you know very well that during summer it gets hot here. And you know very well, Wawa, that when it gets hot, we, the human being, we can run away from the sun, run to the shade. You ladies can go around, even men these days, go around carrying umbrellas. People can do many things. They can put on sunscreens and all that. Have you ever wondered, what about the plants? Plants can't run away, they can't carry umbrella, they can't do anything. They have to stand in the environment, withstand that heat, withstand that excessive sunlight. So what we are looking at in my own research within SEMSA, we are looking to see whether this excessive sunlight is changing the chemistry of plants. What is the consequences of studying plants? As you know, all of us in the morning, afternoon, evening, we rely on plant for food. Some rely on plant for basic medication. We even have a term for it where plant are seen as food and as medicine is called nutraceutical. So what we are therefore looking at in my research group is that, is the nutraceutical value of a plant changing because of climate change? If so, what would be the biological consequences of this? Give you an example. There are new molecules that are formed because of excessive sunlight exposure of plant. And these new molecules, we are the ones who are discovering them here at University of Venda. We are showcasing them. We are showing evidence that there's a change happening in plants due to excessive sunlight exposure. The question that we have now, which we are going to investigate or yet to investigate, is that the formation of these new molecules, does it have biological consequences? Is it good or bad? So that's the question that we are trying to answer using mass spectrometry. On the other project, which are collaborative projects now, these are people who comes with their questions. So at SEMSA, what we have created is an environment where people can bring their own questions. We help them to refine those questions in order to transform the questions to answers. And these answers comes in a well-validated scientific processes or undergo scientific pipeline to be validated. And when we validate them for them, these then can inform many things. They can go academic publication or can go and inform policy. For instance, there are people who comes to look at the effect of drought on plant. Other people are doing breeding of plants. Others are coming with an environmental assessment of water pollution, which we drink every day. Some are looking at many, many other things. Soil chemistry. Some are developing drugs. Some are using plant as a potential drugs. Some are looking at the effect of animal feeds on the entire health of animals. So we do so many things in our center. But overall, what we're doing in the center, we're just creating an environment where science can thrive. And we give answers to some questions that somehow otherwise would be difficult to validate.
Yeah. Understandable. Many institutions have, sophisticated laboratories, but very few become recognized centers of excellence. What does it take to actually build a research ecosystem than simply, acquiring advanced scientific equipment?
It's like, let's say if I meet someone who doesn't have a driver's license, who has never driven a car before, and I give them a Ferrari. And I say, here's a Ferrari. What are you going to do with that Ferrari?
Yeah.
You're not going to do anything with it, but the Ferrari is there. Similarly, if you can drive and you stay in a pothole-ridden area, and I give you a Ferrari, what are you going to do with a Ferrari in a pothole-ridden area? Nothing. Because a Ferrari is built for speed. And if you don't have an environment where you can execute that speed, the Ferrari is as good as a Corolla in this case. So this exactly speaks to your question.
Yeah.
To say, many people have sophisticated equipment, but do they have the environment to utilize those equipment to the fullest?
Yeah.
So what SEMSA has, which is advantageous, is the location at which this institute is found, or rather this center is found.
Yeah.
Because we are, as the University of Venda, located in the UNESCO Vembe Biosphere, which is one of the most unique biosphere in the world, where we have some of the plants that are not found anywhere. Meaning, we are able to have direct access to scientific models and create new knowledge that cannot be created anywhere.
Yeah.
So that attracts attention to our center because it's producing something very unique.
Much of your research focuses on medicinal African plants, as you mentioned when you started, and we can say that Africa has always possessed the rich indigenous knowledge about healing plants. How can modern science validate and also strengthen that knowledge, while also still representing the communities that have preserved it for generations?
So this speaks to our vision as a center.
Yeah.
Our vision speaks to advancing African knowledge through scientific validation. So, or rather, we want to create an Africa where indigenous knowledge thrives through scientific validation. What we know is that many people, when they look into Africa,
Yeah.
they think whatever that we do here is very primitive. What about what we say as our beliefs. People see them as very primitive. But I tell you that most of the Western scientific discoveries are actually based on African knowledge. Some of the Western medicine actually developed from African medicine. So what this center is going to do is to decolonize the mindset, first of all, to say African scientific knowledge is as good as Western science. But we do so by subjecting this knowledge or myth, if you want to put it that way, into scientific validation, where we can even show that some of the African myth or mythical knowledge are as good or sometimes even better than the Western counterparts.
Let's talk about listening to plants. I've seen one of your posts where you described fieldwork as an effort to try to decode nature's secrets. When you travel through rural landscapes, you are collecting plant samples. What is it that you're actually looking for, and what fascinates you the most about that process?
So there was a time where I thought my laboratory is within my household, because almost all the plants that I've worked on, they're actually found in my yard. I don't have to go anywhere to look for them. They are there. That's why I say working in this location, it is something very unique. Most importantly, you are asking me, what am I looking for that side? So I actually, while I'm in the field, I'm within the community. So it's the community that drives me and tells me of the secrets within their own location, where they will tell me this plant and this plant, if you see them behaving like this, this is what is happening. I'll give you an example. We published a paper 2 years ago where a plant that is commonly consumed as food by all genders here, which is known as mushiji. In Latin, it's called Bidens pilosa. In English, it's called blackjack. Everybody knows that plant. Everybody consumes it here. But within African traditional medicine, there are some who believe this plant can be used as a contraceptive. But the question is, how is a vegetable that is eaten by everyone becomes a contraceptive? So within the community, they will then guide you to tell you that it becomes contraceptive if it looks like this. It can only be used as a vegetable if it looks like this. But people who don't have such knowledge can go and consume the one that is contraceptive, has the contraceptive properties, and stop birthing. But I actually found out that how they differentiate between the two is because the other one will be infected by a fungi. And it's not actually the plant that have a contraceptive properties. It's the fungi that resides inside the plant that has a contraceptive effect. So we have gone to look in that particular plant. Since we know the chemistry of Bidens pilosa, we found in it a chemical that indeed is known to have contraceptive activity. So it's not us navigating these landscapes, it's the community driving us to get knowledge from the landscapes.
You talked about climate change, plant chemistry. We can say that your research connects this together with agriculture, the food systems, and also human health, as you just touched on it now. How do these seemingly different areas actually intersect? And why should ordinary citizens care about the work that is taking place inside your laboratory?
So indeed, this previously used to be called multidisciplinary. But now we have come with a new terminology, which is transdisciplinary. What we speak of transdisciplinary, it's well defined more by the concept called One Health, where we look at the environment, the animals, and the ecosystem. How does these together influence what we can regard as healthy living? So that you can understand that, for instance, there are certain things that seems unconnected, but they're actually connected. I want to give you an example which I was once given when I visited Kruger National Park by one of the rangers. It's not related to this, but you will see how I bring it back here. This ranger tells me that elephants are driving the population of vultures down at Kruger National Park. I said, but elephants are herbivores. They don't eat vultures. They don't fight with vultures. How are they doing so? And the guy told me that by felling of the trees, at Kruger National Park, the vultures do not have anywhere where they can perch. Vultures prefer to perch or even lay eggs in tall trees. What is the elephants doing? They're breaking down the trees. What then vultures do? They go outside the park, look for areas where there are what? There are tall trees. And while they're outside the park, because of traditional medicine, people start to hunt the what? The eggs of the vultures, the chicks of the vultures, even the vultures themselves. And what are we seeing now? Decline in the population of the vultures. And due to what? Due to an elephant breaking down the tree. How does the two connect? On the face value, they don't connect. But when you dig deep, you then see that felling of that tree means that you are destroying the home of the vulture. Here is another example now for us. You might find that the reason why we are healthy is because the plants that we're eating still contains the chemical or the original chemical profiles that they have. But now, due to climate change, we see a plant thriving here. It's thriving. But is the chemistry of that plant still what we as human beings need to remain healthy? The answer is no. So that means excessive. Next time when you complain of too much sunlight, you must also know that you are complaining because you can. A plant can't. And without us revealing through this mass spectrometry that there's actually a change happening in the plant. Otherwise, we'll continue to just eat the plants and we don't get better. We no longer become healthy. People are always sick and all those type of things. Certain plants are going extinct. There's an excessive drought that is happening in our environment where other plants cannot withstand this drought. What we ended up have to do is to create genetically modified food. There's a perception out here that says we can't eat genetically modified food, but you continue to ban biomass. You are creating greenhouse effects. Climate change is increasing and food cannot grow. So we as scientists, we need to advance knowledge and advise the community to say there's a connection in all these things. When water is not clean, you can't be healthy. When water is not clean, plants can't be healthy. When plants are not healthy, everything gets disturbed in the ecosystem. And what happened? Life will cease to exist the way we know it.
Let's talk about African science on the global stage. The last time we had Professor Shonai, and he did mention that there is a need in Africa for more young scientists, to emerge. You also talked about, the need as scientists to decolonize, how Africa is seen. Do you believe that, as previously Africa was seen as a contributor of raw data than a producer of scientific knowledge, do you believe that at this point in time where we are, is the narrative changing, and what unique perspective do African scientists need to bring to the global research stage today?
I like this question because you speak of narratives. Africa is a continent of narratives. Africa is a continent of speeches. Africa is a continent of manipulation. We have for a very long time been manipulated by the Western world. What I find very ironic is that even amongst ourselves, our politicians are those that speaks of narratives. But in reality, the narratives keeps changing, keeps giving us hope that things are happening. But the action on the ground is actually appalling. There are certain things that are happening in Africa and other African countries that you wouldn't believe that we are in 2026. So if I want to speak for Africa as a whole, we are still far behind. We are consumers of the end product. This is the era of artificial intelligence. Africans are still arguing whether if artificial intelligence is relevant for them. And the person who's arguing is wearing a a smartwatch. So I don't want artificial intelligence here. But they're wearing a smartwatch.
Yeah.
What is the smartwatch doing? It's measuring the steps that they've taken during the day. It's measuring the heart rate. It's measuring the blood pressure. Some of the smartwatch, depending on the technology, they can even estimate your blood sugar level and or your entire well-being. But someone is arguing about against that.
Yeah.
We are a continent where, for instance, access to health system, it's not there. There are people who stays 200 kilometers away from the clinic. But with artificial intelligence, we could come up with means to help communities to know whether they're sick or not.
Yeah.
But people are still arguing about that. So when you speak about narratives, these are narratives that inspire people to reject development. So I think as a continent, we're still far behind. We are consumers. We are not developers. We should be developing AI-driven stuff here, but we are not.
Yeah. Let's talk about international recognition. You talked about, the importance of collaboration as, you've started to do at, with the work that you're doing at the center. Your work has earned international recognition. We're talking Africa, Europe, Asia, and beyond. From your perspective, what does international recognition truly mean? And how would you say it has influenced both in your own career and also the University of Venda's growing global reputation?
Indeed. So even the NRF itself, when they want to rate you, they rate you based on your international recognition status.
Yeah.
But when we speak about internationalization, it's not when you travel the world uninvited. You need to showcase your ability that the international community can have a trust on you so that they can feel the need of inviting you.
Yeah.
That now speaks to you not only going internationally to consume, but to contribute. When you contribute your science, you become an international player. You are known to bring a certain skill sets. You are known to have knowledge of specific processes or scientific knowledge that without you cannot persist. Therefore, it is quite important because then you as an individual representing the University of Venda, whenever you go, they would refer to you as a scientist from University of Venda, which is in South Africa.
Yeah.
I remember there was a time when a review article was written about potential dangers of climate change on plants. And someone wrote that anyone who wants to understand the effect of climate change on plants, look at the work of Madala in South Africa. Already, that is an alert that has gone worldwide to showcase that the quality evidence, scientific evidence about the presence of this and the implications of these compounds is found in South Africa, and the holder of this knowledge is at University of Venda. So that is putting University of Venda in a global stage. Yeah. And when you do something good, you're not even shy to make yourself available for scrutiny internationally. So I think this adds value and gives you much confidence to continue with the work that one is doing.
Yeah. Usually when we talk about research, we are talking about people who are trying to solve problems. But sometimes research is viewed as something that remains, just inside journals, as you've talked about, the publishing issues and also conference rooms where people sit and talk or discuss about these researches. How would you say that at the center, you are ensuring that the discoveries that you make translate into actual practical solutions that will improve health, agriculture, and also environmental sustainability and industry?
So, what we are doing at the center is to recreate perceptions or challenge current perceptions.
Yeah.
For instance, there are certain people who believe that whatever that is good for them or good for their health, they have to pay money for. We are showing in the center that some of the plants that we have in our landscapes here, they are actually better than those that you buy.
Yeah.
For instance, I give you an example. Everybody buys a lettuce. What is in the lettuce that you have to pay money for it? What is in the spinach that you have to pay money for it? But I'm telling you that Plants like Bidens spilosa, they are more superior than those that you buy in the markets, but they are free of charge. Momodica, which is a plant that is very bitter that we eat at home, is much, 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 much healthier than a cucumber. What is in a cucumber that makes you to spend a lot of money like that? So starting from that basic level, we are changing narratives. We are telling people that what you have in your backyard is much, much superior than what you find there. You ask about maybe something that could enter into this economic space. For instance, some of our research, especially on these light-induced compounds, we are arguing and we're speaking to companies that we can actually create a super beverage which one can eat and or drink rather to enhance your energy levels, to enhance your health. Some of our PhD students are working on potential development of probiotics. The people who are suffering in indigestion, we are creating a bacterial, a consortia of bacteria that can be packaged in a capsule, which can later on be used to help those with indigestion. So research and development of products takes long, long time. We are only here for 5 years. Some of the things that we are using now as products that are product of scientific discoveries were made 50 years ago, and we are only enjoying the benefits now after 60 years or so.
When people hear the word excellence, they're going to think of awards, rankings, and also other prestigious titles. When you hear that word, particularly as the director of SEMSA, what does excellence mean to you?
So our excellence is based on 4 strategic pillars. Number 1 is access. Number 2 is enabling. Number 3 is stewardship. Number 4 is collaboration. So the excellence that we speak about is the environment that we have created that enables whoever want access to high-end scientific instrumentation can enjoy through our center. Most importantly, whatever they bring in that center in a form of knowledge, we have a responsibility to guard it so that we can engage or collaborate with that person, also respecting the integrity of their knowledge without having to compromise or make them feel like they are not worthy. So that is the excellence that we speak of. Is the excellence we speak about it in a form of our practice and how we engage with others.
Talking about the world and also the age we're in today, where we are seeing many emerging researchers. You have been described as a mentor, and you have mentored many students before, I'm sure. Let's talk about the type of leadership that you think is needed in supervision. For us as Africans to get to the place where you're saying that we need to be in after we have dismantled the issue of decolonization.
So the form of leadership that is needed here is the one that is inspired by one of the strategic pillars of our center, which is enabling. You need to enable people. People need to be given back their integrity. Students, in many cases, are supervised or they are led by their supervisors as people or slaves that create means for the supervisors. So in our center, we're reversing things around, where the form of leadership that I give is to give people an opportunity. Those whom otherwise no one could have given opportunity. I want those ones so that we can build them for that, so that they become future scientists or future leaders in their own right. So that this, whatever we're doing in this center, can continue to thrive even in our absence in the future. That's it for us.
I've quoted one of your views from years ago where you noted that it's usually said that graduate needs stronger industry connections. You've argued for stronger relationships between institutions or universities and also the industry. What does meaningful collaboration between academia and industry look like? And why would you say that it's increasingly becoming important, especially for African universities?
So I've seen and heard students saying that whatever that they're being taught at the university is irrelevant.
Yeah.
It's true. In certain cases, it's true, where, for instance, universities train students in degrees that are irrelevant, according to me.
Yeah.
People would go and become irrelevant in industry because what they've been taught in the university is not something that they could use because the industry is not in need of such skills.
Yeah.
So we need to train students at the university that speaks directly to the needs of the industry.
Yeah.
So that the students, when they come from the university training, they could immediately slot into jobs. They could actually go and perform wherever that their skills are needed. So that's the type of skills we're talking about.
Yeah. So you can agree with me on the idea that universities must remain intellectual communities, rather than just simply being efficient organizations. In your view, what do you think makes a university a university?
A university should be a home of thinkers. A university is where knowledge is created.
Yeah.
More importantly, this knowledge must inform how communities engage amongst themselves, how they live amongst themselves, and how sustainable the relationship between communities and the environment should be.
Yeah.
I mean, we speak of so many things. It's not only science that is being done at the university. The reason why we have people studying health is because we want people to be healthy. The reason why we have law students is because we want the lawyers to create a community that is responsible.
Yeah.
The reason why we have religious studies in the university is because we want to create communities that are ethical in their doings. So all combined, university must be a custodian or creator of knowledge that speaks directly to how community engage.
Yeah. Let's talk about now the future of SEMSA. We talked about what excellence would mean for you in the center. If we were to return here 10 years from now, what would success look like for SEMSA, and what legacy do you hope this center will establish for the University of Venda, Southern Africa, and also the global scientific community, specifically also, touching on Africa as a whole?
So my dream, which I don't know whether it is possible or not, is to transform the entire University of Venda to be only SEMSA.
Yeah.
University of Venda could benefit a great deal if all the resources,
Yeah.
financial resources, human capital, everything that defines University of Venda
Yeah.
should become SEMSA. SEMSA should be the face of University of Venda. We want to give credence.
Yeah.
We want to bring back the respect that the University of Venda deserves.
Yeah.
We will continue to thrive to make SEMSA a globally competitive research entity, producing high quality research that will go to inform the world of the university that is building capacity in creating researchers that respect indigenous knowledge, that transforms indigenous knowledge into well scientific validated information that can be used across the world to better human life.
Yeah. So if someone was to write a book about Professor Ntakadzeni Edwin Madala 50 years from now, what would you hope for the central message of that book to be?
I want to be seen as someone who have tried. Someone who have tried, and not only narratively or rhetorically.
Yeah.
There should be evidence to be put down there to say this is the man who came to University of Venda and brought a first mass spectrometer. This is the person who have published over 100 papers in mass spectrometry.
Yeah.
This is a student who have trained so many mass spectrometrists that currently are working in the field. I want to be remembered as someone who came here and not conform, but instead change the narrative, change how things are, and made the University of Venda to be indeed a globally competitive institution.
Yeah. Many young people, specifically those from rural communities, do admire science, but they struggle to imagine themselves becoming researchers. What opportunities would you say exist for students within the center, or rather learners like this who have dreams like that? And what would you like to say to someone who doubts, whether, would I really survive in science, or, will I really settle in science?
Wawa, I believe in presenting yourself. Just be where things are happening.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
You don't have to doubt yourself. Just be there. Even when you are in a soccer field, even if someone can kick a ball and it hits you and it changes direction and goes and score a goal, who scores the goal? You, isn't it?
I'm the one who scored the goal.
You're the one who scores the goal. Just be there.
Yeah.
Be there at the right place.
Yeah.
You will be counted amongst those who were present.
Yeah.
Don't doubt yourself and sit back and say, I don't want to participate in this because I'm not going to make it. Just be there.
Yeah.
You don't know God's miracle. God works in a very funny way. By you just being there, you could be lucky. And you, of course, you can't just be there standing and hoping for a ball to hit you so that you can claim a goal.
Yeah.
You need to be making actions and everything. If you jump, and when you are in the process of jumping, it hits your head, then they'll say you have headed it in.
Yeah.
If you stretch your leg, they'll say, yeah, that was a very nice kick. Just be there, but be participatory. Try to be present and learn from others. Yeah. Don't look at yourself inwards, look outward. Look what is happening around you. You'll then see that there are possibilities here. There are possibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it that you'd like to say in closing, and what is it that we can expect to see from the center from this point onwards?
In closing, I just want to give thanks to everyone who has believed in our dream, especially the University of Venda, for investing and putting resources of this magnitude towards making this dream possible. Yeah. We are indeed operationalizing the center. It is becoming what we want it to be. We believe that with further collaboration within the institution in terms of resource allocation, we are going to become something very big. SEMSA is going to become a hub of mass spectrometry. University of Venda will become a home of everyone across Africa from the entire globe who wants to do mass spectrometry. You will see them coming to this institution to stay with us for a month, 2 months, doing research that is globally competitive. That is my parting words.
Prof. Madala, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you very much.